Hello, good afternoon. No, yes, it is. Cuckoo's going off, keto cuckoo. And so it must be time to talk about the ketogenic diet. Hi, I'm Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey, where I like to talk about how I've lost 9 to 7.4 pounds since starting the ketogenic protocol, how you may be able to lose weight, improve your health, regain control of your life like I did. I hope you're well. We are well. There goes grandmother clock. I love it when the clocks are aligned. It makes my day. Today, I'm going to talk about, as the title implied, we just need to get real about keto. For those of you who are uninitiated into what the diet is, the ketogenic diet is one whereby you lower your carbohydrate intake to a point where your liver stops pumping out glucose with a fire hose, glucose being sugar. And when the tap is turned off, our bodies happily turn to burning ketone bodies or fat for fuel, hence the ketogenic diet. And when that happens, many good downstream things happen. We start burning fat that we have on our bodies for fuel, which is good. It reduces inflammation. Some of us find that our brains get clear again. We have more energy. Our appetite is suppressed, and down the line. That's what it is. Now, I'm going to tell you how I learned the protocol and how I've practiced it these 7.5, not quite 7.5, over 7 years. You keep your carbohydrate intake to 20 grams or fewer a day, total carbs, not net. If it's not on page 4, link below, don't eat it, but you don't even need a food list. Eat fatty sources of protein, full fat dairy if you can tolerate it, but it's not unlimited. And non-starchy vegetables, also not unlimited. About a cup a day of non-starchy vegetables before they're cooked and about 2 cups a day of leafy greens before they're cooked. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satiated. That's the protocol. It has gotten to be silly season in regards to the keto, which is, by the way, not a regulated term. So if someone is selling products that tout that they are keto certified, again, not a thing. I mean, someone may pay for having that stamp, but there's no keto board certifying food. You know, it's not like the USDA organic stamp. And if there's a food product that says it is keto friendly, it almost certainly is not, unless it happens to be fresh whole food, like steak or eggs or bacon or poultry. Those are keto friendly. And there's no product that you need to buy that will get you into ketosis, and which is the state we would like to be, burning fat for fuel. There's no product that will do that for you. You might be able to consume something that will give you a positive reading on a test strip, but that doesn't mean you're in ketosis. Think of it this way. If what you really, really want is a positive pregnancy test, do you want to buy a product that will make that pregnancy test read positive? Or do you want to actually be pregnant? This is kind of the same thing. You know, take this product and you'll get, you'll read positive on urine strips or blood strips, whatever. Do you want that, or do you want to be in ketosis, burning fat for fuel? I'm going to repeat the protocol because it is pretty straightforward. Restrict carbohydrate intake to 20 grams a day, total, not net. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satiated. There's no mention of grams of anything else. No percentages of anything else. No time of day you should or should not be eating. No amount of water you need to be consuming. What else? What are some of the other things? No mention of having to consume apple cider vinegar. Where that came from, I don't know. And now they sell it in pill form. I ask you, pills of apple cider vinegar? And why apple cider vinegar? Why not just white vinegar? Ugh. You can even get apple cider vinegar gummies. I don't even want to think what they have to do to apple cider vinegar to make it into a gummy. So, and I'm going to move on to other things that are not part of the protocol. I want to preface this. I should have prefaced this in the very beginning by saying, if you are doing something and you are happy and it's working for you, no matter what it is, muzzle tough. Keep going. Do what works for you. But, I don't generally hear from people who find that what they're doing is working for them. I hear from people who say, I don't understand it. This is not working. I'm doing everything. I am fitting in all my macros, which we call the M word around Go Keto with Casey, not part of the protocol. I am making sure to get in enough fat, not part of the protocol. I only have one cheat day a week, certainly not part of the protocol. And it goes on and on and on. All the foods I'm eating are keto certified. No, not a thing. But if what you're doing is working for you, keep it up. If it used to work and now it doesn't, you need to tweak. I've had to tweak what I'm doing. But the 20 grams or fewer and fatty sources of protein, and don't eat if you're not hungry and stop when you're satiated, that has not changed. What has changed is the amount of fuel I require. So I have to really be on top of that. Don't eat if you're not hungry and stop when you're satiated. I need less fuel. I'm older and I'm smaller than I was before. So you tweak. Now, but if something's not working, ask yourself this. Am I following that protocol as it's laid out? Those 4 tenets, 20 grams or fewer, total carbs, not net carbs. People ask, well, what is a net carb? Net carbs just means eating more carbs. That's what that is. People say, oh no, there's a formula. You take grams of fiber and sugar alcohols and you minus them out from the total carbohydrate count. There's no science behind that. There's nothing to say that those grams of fiber are not going to be absorbed or spike something. There just isn't. I will defer to Dr. Eric Westman, the world expert on the clinical implementation of the ketogenic protocol to treat obesity and type 2 diabetes. He's been doing it for 20 years. And he's a man of research. He likes research. Ask him yourself. It's not a thing. It makes it easier for food manufacturers because to make something shelf stable, you generally have to kind of chock it full of other ingredients that are not keto friendly. But then they backwards out fibers. And so that's why on the front of the package, it'll say 4 net carbs per bar. And then you look on the back and it's 17 grams of carbs. So we don't have anything in this house other than some samples that were sent to me of exactly the situation I just was talking about. It says 4 net carbs on the front of the label. On the nutrition label, it's 17 grams of carbs for a 1.5 ounce bar. Tiny. I don't eat 17 grams of carbohydrate probably in the course of 3 days. So now why would it be so confusing? Sometimes we want to be confused. It's a lot easier to tell ourselves, this is just overwhelming. It is too confusing. I can't do it. Than it is to just do it. Because we sometimes way somewhere in the recesses of our brains, we just don't want to give up the carbs. We don't want to give up the chips and the popcorn and the chocolate and the ice cream. So we say, I'm overwhelmed with all the keto products. Okay, just don't have any because they aren't. And going back, I get asked a lot, okay, now that you're essentially at goal weight, I would like to lose 2.6 more pounds just so I can say I've lost 100 pounds. I'm actually 115.5 pounds off my heaviest that I know of, but that was not all on keto. I was asked, will you ever go back to eating regular food? Okay, I do eat regular food. Chicken is regular and eggs are regular and ground beef is regular and steaks are regular and lamb and pork chops and sausages and green beans in limited amounts. And That's regular food. You know what's not regular? Fake food. That's irregular. That's not real food. But it's a mindset that people have. Or will you reintroduce carbs? No, I will not. That works for you? Wonderful. It would not work for me. I don't need them. Why would I eat them? I don't need them. I'm very healthy. I'm quite happy. What? It's like if I had emphysema and I gave up cigarettes and I rectified the emphysema. Okay, now you're going to go back to just a few cigarettes a day then? Nope, I'm not going to do that. But we have to get real. There are a lot of people sending a lot of mixed messages out there. A lot of the messages, they want the message to be confusing so they can sell you something to make it simple. And just ask yourself, if you see a product or a plan or a kit, does that make sense? Do I really need this? Did humans not evolve over 70 million years just eating food? And most generations, got stronger, smarter, and taller and lived longer than the previous one? And we're kind of reversing that now? Is it a coinkydink that our population has gotten obese and morbidly obese? I was morbidly obese for 30 years. 30, from my mid-20s to my mid-50s. And believe me, if I can do this, you can do this. There is not a question. But we have to be real. We have to quit falling for all this bunk when it comes to nutrition. When it comes to the word keto has just been co-opted. At Costco, you can find keto clusters made with oats and almonds. And really, neither of those things are on page 4. I always laugh when I think back and I saw paleo pancake mix when paleo was the big thing. Really? A lot of cavemen were eating pancakes, were they? Were they eating short stacks or tall stacks? I mean, it's just funny. It's the word of the moment. And so they're just slapping the word keto on it. It's not. We have to get real. And if a message is confusing, try to strip away the stuff that is confusing to you. Here's the protocol one more time. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day, total, not net. If it's not on page 4, link below, don't eat it, but you don't need a food list. You don't have to be told what to eat. Eat fatty sources of protein. What does that mean? It means animal product. Eat the fat that comes with the meat, the poultry, the fish, the dairy. It's not added fat. We don't want to add a bunch of dietary fat. You can be in ketosis and put on weight if you're overeating. Don't eat if you're not hungry is the hardest part for almost everyone. We have to learn what hunger is. We have to unlearn habits. We have to unlearn the 3 meals a day and 2 snacks, and breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and clean your plate. Nope. If you don't eat every 3 hours, you're going to wreck your metabolism. False. What else? You know what? I'm gonna do a quick little interlude that I want to find out with you guys. Some of the things that maybe are confusing to you or things that you have heard people say confuses them and your reaction. First of all, I get asked every single video, what am I drinking? Hashtag Casey's pink drink. No, you can't buy it. I'm not selling it. I just like the way it sounds. Hashtag Casey's pink drink. Very tall glass, lots of ice, diet tonic water, a splash of diet cranberry, and a squeeze of lime. It's bright and brisk, and it brightens up when I'm talking so much. Second thing, Shameless Commerce Division. Go Keto with Casey's 12-month record book. You can get it in perfect bound, which is this, at Amazon for a little bit less money, and you'll get it faster. Or you can go to my blog and get the spiral bound. It's got habit trackers and quotes and adult coloring pages in the back. And logs and journals and a dot journal and a mood tracker. And I don't know, just it's for fun. This one is actually probably a lot easier to actually use as a journal because it's spiral bound. Those you have to get from me, and I do the product fulfillment. And I want to thank patrons. I'm going to guess some are here because they almost always are. At my Patreon's private support group on Patreon, link below, I do 20 video snippets a month every weekday morning, and I do a handful of patron-only live streams on Crowdcast and a handful of patron-only video group sessions on Zoom. I am no longer taking the monthly one-on-one level because busy, booked. All right. I am going to look and see what people are saying. I'm going to jump to the bottom, actually. Okay, Denise S. writes, I started on net carbs. Didn't work for me. Found your channel, started on 20 total and only eating when hungry and lost 5.8 pounds the first week. Boom, she writes. Fantastic. Somebody left a super chat. Or M. Live chat. Oh my gosh. Mikos Danes, $25 super chat. That is so kind of you. A super chat is one where it's very generous. And your comment is pinned. Is it Mikos or Miko? Writes, thank you for the advice yesterday regarding the lightheadedness. Feeling much better today. Okay, so I was asked, I was doing net carbs and then nothing was really kind of happening. So I dropped to total carbs. And then after, I've been doing the net carbs for a few weeks and dropped to total carbs. I lost weight, but then I got kind of lightheaded. Keto flu was the question. And I said, that would make sense because it's actually starting to do what it's supposed to do. But it's not really keto flu. It's almost always, and it's not withdrawal from carbs. It's almost always sodium deficiency. When we're in ketosis, we tend to pass a lot of water. With water goes sodium. With sodium go other electrolytes. Our blood volume can decrease just a little bit. And that's what can kind of make us feel lightheaded and headachy and things like that. Okay. Hey, Vicky G from Southeast Washington. Okay, so there must be windy. Nance, how you doing from Colorado? Miriam Al-Kabir. Hi, Casey. Question. Do you find keto helpful to keep cancer in remission? Okay, for those of you who know my story, I've been diagnosed and treated for cancer 3 times over the course of my life. The first time when I was pregnant with our 3rd child, so that was quite dramatic. And then over the course of years, 2 others, and then I had a recurrence of 1. So I can't speak to that. There's ongoing research about cancer. This is not a new concept. Otto Warburg won the 1931 Nobel Prize for his theory about cancer cells requiring glucose to thrive. That doesn't mean that just cutting off glucose will kill cancer or prevent it. But there is that idea, because keep in mind, our body will create glucose as needed through gluconeogenesis. So we're not cutting off all glucose. I will say that I feel I'm as healthy as I can possibly be. And I wish I knew then what I know now. But, it's too broad a statement to say keto prevents cancer or treats it. But I do feel pretty inoculated, if you can go with that. Hey, ketogenic. Letha Lampkin, how do I find the spiral bound book? Okay, it's go to my blog, link below, and go to the swag, and then click on the green book on my swag, and then I'll send it out to you. Denise S. Writes, question. I can't stay in ketosis, not sure what the problem is. I check it in the afternoon and it's 0.5, but when I check in the morning, it's 0. Am I checking in at the wrong time? Is it necessary? No, it's not necessary to check. It's not necessary to be in ketosis. And some people's blood chemistry is just different than others. I tend to high blood readings, ketogenic beta hydroxybutyrate readings, because that's my body chemistry. My husband tends to lower. Now, whenever I've tested, it's been first thing in the morning, and I don't test. I test only when I either feel strangely or something doesn't seem right, or my weight has done something wacky. My weight fluctuates, but in a very small amount. If it fluctuates more than that small amount, then I'm going to check whether it's up or down. You don't have to test. The best test is, are you losing your appetite? Not in a bad way, like, oh, I'm nauseated. No, I'm just not hungry. Do your clothes fit looser? So if you're in 0.5, I would say you're in ketosis. Now, unless you're doing something between the afternoon and the morning, like having a midnight snack of cashews, which, nuts are not on page 4. For one reason, they're calorically and carb dense, and they're very easy to mindlessly overeat. So, you can test it. But pretty much with ketosis, it's like a pregnancy. You either are or you aren't. So the levels don't matter so much. Hey, Annie. Yesterday was back day, Annie. I always think of you when I'm doing rowing on my Total Gym. Annie writes, I know you don't have to check your blood keto levels, but is there a minimum that you need to have to be in nutritional ketosis? The jury's out on that. Research is ongoing. It used to be the sweet spot was 1.5 millimolars to 3.0. The last time I checked, mine was 6.2. Does not mean I was burning more fat than anybody else. That's just my body chemistry. But now it's kind of 0.4, 0.5. Again, it's either you are or you aren't. And under that circumstance, I think I might tend towards the urine strips, which are perfectly legitimate. You'll hear conflicting information about that as well, because that's pretty much, you're either neutral, which means the acetoacetate is not present in your urine. Do check later, not the first thing upon rising if you're checking for urine, because a full bladder, all that liquid can dilute the acetoacetate. So neutral, no, you're not. But from light pink to dark purple, there's no advantage to being in dark purple. You might be even dehydrated a little bit, but not too much to worry. Monica Albrecht. Hello, Monica. What about sunflower seeds? I don't believe they're on page 4. And I would think that those are things that would be easy to overeat as well. But, look at the label. If you can take a little serving, and if a serving of sunflower seeds is whatever it is, we don't eat them around here, so I don't know. And they're, a gram of carbohydrates. Oh, good, I like them. But if you find that you've eaten the whole bag, that's probably not good. I like the word millimolars. Denise writes, thanks for the answer, guys. I generally eat one meal at 10 and one meal at 4 and no snacks. I do not eat anything that isn't on page 4. I think I was worried too much about the ketone levels. This is another thing to keep it real. We shouldn't be chasing after ketone levels. This is ultimately about how we feel and our health, right? Again, what if you are showing that you're in ketosis, but you feel like crap because you ate 3 times the amount of food you needed? What's more important, feeling well or registering on some device that did not even exist for this purpose a while ago? Measuring ketone levels was originally for tools for type 1 diabetics. And now it's just kind of been taken over because you can measure, because they need to make sure their ketone levels are not too high, because type 1 diabetics don't produce insulin. And they have to be very careful about that. We're not really at risk. If we're not a type 1 diabetic, we're not at risk of having ketones too high. What is page 4 in your book? No, it's not my book. It's a long story. It's from Dr. Westman's original white coat video that I don't know how old that video is. And that is how I got started. I'd given up on losing weight. I was obese for 30 years. I just didn't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes. And I knew that was in my future. It's in my family's past, and I knew it was in my future. So I Googled how to not take insulin for type 2 diabetes. And I came across Dr. Eric Westman's white coat video. And in it, he's talking to his clinic patients at Duke University. And he has a 5-page handout that he gives to them going over instructions. And it just happens to be that the list of foods is on page 4 of this handout. And he's the quick to say, I didn't make this. This list was derived by Dr. Robert Atkins and Jackie Eberstein. He just took it. I mean, he didn't make this up. Dr. William Banting is the first recorded person that I know of in 1863 in England. He was an undertaker, and he wrote a treatise on corpulence about laying off the carbs. But again, you don't need a food list. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store. If it is from or of an animal, it's okay. Non-starchy vegetables. So for the most part, nothing that grows below ground. But vegetables are not unlimited. They are limited. And there's no minimum requirement for leafy greens. Not at all. Carbohydrate is not an essential macronutrient, meaning we do not have to consume it by mouth for our bodies to get whatever we would get from those carbs, because our body can create glucose through gluconeogenesis without a carb passing through our lips. We must consume fat and protein because those amino acids cannot be created by the body without us consuming those essential nutrients, macronutrients. Okay, I'm sorry. The comments are jumping. Okay, Vicky G from Southeast Washington writes, joint pain will tell me if I stray off keto. A lot of people, it's like the canary in the coal mine. And it doesn't take a month. It takes like the next day, joint pain returns. For some people, they start again needing their emergency asthma inhaler if they stray. Some of us just puff up like a puffer fish. We just, all those little cells fill back up with water. Kathy writes, me too, Vicky, immediately. Okay, Denise S writes, when I watch others, they test, and I just thought that's what was needed. Glad I found you. Not at all. You don't need to. There is not one product you need to buy, whether it's a food product, a testing product, a kit, a supplement. There's not one thing you need to buy to be 100% successful. It's just the next time you eat, lay off the carbs. It's not what you put in your mouth. It's not pounding back grams of fat. It's not the presence of the fat that makes us burn fat. It's the absence of the carbs. So just lay off the carbs. That's it. That's it. So we just have to boil it down. Again, if something's working for you, keep it up. And there are many paths that can lead to the same destination. Some people do wonderfully with Move More, Eat Less, or Weight Watchers, or whatever it might be. This is what worked for me. And I am you, okay? I'm the every person, male or female, young or old. I am probably like you. It's physiologically. Okay, I'm trying to, the things are jumping. I do apologize. Michelle Hughes, hey, little crafty nook. Winnell Miller Bell writes, question, do you have advice for gastric sleeve folks? I can only eat a small amount and have to eat often. I feel as if I'm grazing all the time. The online Durham support group meeting that we just had this past week with Dr. Westman and myself, and that's the first Tuesday of every month. If you go to my blog, go to my schedule, you can look down any events coming up, the next one, and then also Wednesday Wine Day with my friend Amy Berger. You can register for them there. That actually came up. And he said, no, he does not find that he needs to tell his bariatric surgery patients to do anything differently. Just, if you need to graze. Your situation is different. It's a very nutrient-dense way to eat. And there are several people in my Patreon support group who have had surgery. And they were doing great. And then they started putting on weight again. And they said, oops, I'm not going to do that. Let's try something else. A Coca-Cola for you, oh dear, writes, hi, Casey. It's my first time catching you live. I want to thank you for your videos And by repeating to keep it simple, it helped me so much. Thank you. Yvette Contreras, you are most welcome. Suzanne Botts, using protocol S for such a long time. Using protocol S for okay. Michelle Hughes, 5.5 weeks, and my blood sugar was, this is astounding, was 377, and then now it's 108. Listen to that. 5.5 weeks, she went from blood sugar of 377 to 108. And it was just food. It was just food. Amazing. Sinel writes, I quit eating carbs and sugars, lost 22 pounds. I'm 65 and so much better. Joint pain gone after being told I had osteoarthritis. That is just fantastic. Kelly Carr writes, menopause has been heck. Night sweats, hot flashes, ugh. Will I get relief? Some people find, some women find, and actually some men find that when they start this, particularly in the beginning, some of those symptoms, the hot flashes, are exacerbated. When we're burning fat for fuel, when the fat cells are mobilized, there's not just fat in those cells. There's triglyceride, there are hormones, there's water, there's all sorts of things. And so those hormones are now in your bloodstream, and When the very first support group meeting I went to, I attended one live with Dr. Westman, and this was, man, that had to be 6 years ago. I said, I don't know about a ketogenic diet. I think it's a thermogenic diet because I was so hot. And even men were nodding their heads. Yes. So menopause is not for the faint of heart. Let me see. Where are we? I am going to start to wind down. I do want to thank you for allowing me to be part of your day. And thank you to patrons who are here. And just stay on the course. Sometimes we are so surprised how simple it is. We get freaked out. What? It can't be this. It cannot be this simple, but it is. So thank you very much. Oh, Kathy writes, just had knee replacement, up and at 'em with less inflammation. Yay. Okay. I will, God willing, in the creek don't rise. I will be here again next Saturday at noon. And you can check out more information about my blog, my Patreon, etc., in the links below. Thanks. TTFN and Toodaloo, Caribou, for my Canadian friends.